At the table is Treyton Blackburn. He's the author of an upcoming Christmas play called A Bluegrass Christmas Carol. Hey, welcome in, Treyton.
Glad to have you. I appreciate it.
So this particular theatrical production, I love saying theatrical production, by the way. Theatrical production. It's presented by BCTC. Tell us a little bit about A Bluegrass Christmas Carol.
Sure. So A Bluegrass Christmas Carol is a new adaptation of Charles Dickens' classic by me. It follows the story of a miser named Scrooge, a story we're all very familiar with. However, this time it is set in Kentucky in the 1930s. Yeah, it, I think, captures a lot of the heart of Dickens's classic while also dealing with the story in terms of bluegrass music and in terms of what it is to be culturally involved in Kentucky.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's already kind of like whimsical and fun, which I think all holiday plays do. How else is it? Like you mentioned the bluegrass music and all of that. So are there any other like cool little things that have been added to capture that whimsical aspect?
Absolutely. So I think whenever I was adapting A Christmas Carol, I've always been a huge fan of the story and the novella. I grew up with George C. Scott as Scrooge in the 1984 film adaptation. So when you approach Christmas Carol, you know that you're working in well-trodden ground. Yes. A story that's been told a lot of times. So the question is, how do you make it fresh? How do you make it your own? And for me, the goal was to make it feel like Kentucky. So instead of having Scrooge be a moneylender like he is in the book, I've chosen to make him a Scroogey, miserly bluegrass music producer. So bluegrass music is integral to the storytelling of My Christmas Carol.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have a lot of original music by local musicians, which is very well appreciated. Musicians like Jim Gleason, who's very talented, and we also have a lot of traditional bluegrass songs that I grew up with. I grew up in the Appalachian part of the state.
Okay.
I grew up in Pike County, so I'm very familiar with bluegrass culture, you know, Flat and Scruggs. I cut my teeth on that kind of music. So it was very exciting to get to tell this very familiar story in kind of a local idiom.
How fun is that? Yeah.
Okay, Treyton, I've heard some of your inspirations, but what personally inspired you in this adaptation?
Sure. So I think a lot of my draw to A Christmas Carol as a story is I have a great love for curmudgeons.
You're in the right place right now.
I do. I have a really big soft spot in my heart for people who are very rough around the edges. Growing up in theater, there's actually a person I know that I'm like, this guy is my Scrooge. He's very rough around the edges, but he's got a heart of gold, and he's got this warm, gooey center. And I think that gets lost in a lot of adaptations of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
That Scrooge is a character, we want to see him get better. People get so focused on making him cruel that they lose the path of how do we make him human? How do we root for Ebenezer Scrooge to become a better man?
Yes, because you want to root for him.
Very
as
much
audience,
so. There's actually, for anybody who does watch the show, there's an actual story that is true of how my grandparents met that I've put into the narrative of Ebenezer Scrooge. My grandfather was a kind of rough around the edges kind of guy. And being able to take this story of seeing, you know, somebody who on the outside is a little rough around the edges and may
crusty.
not be, a little crusty, to show that they have this warm heart underneath. And I think it's, you know, it's absolutely, it's the hardness of the world that makes us cruel, I think. And finding a way to take someone who has been made cruel and to find the way to make them kind again is, I think, why Christmas Carol has lasted, you know, over 100 years.
Absolutely right. How can people find out more information?
Absolutely. So the show will be at the Downtown Arts Center, so you can acquire tickets through their ticketing platform. I think there's a graphic for the show.
We've got it up, right now.
Perfect. Absolutely. So the show will be December the 7th through the 9th, 7:30 p.m. each night at the Downtown Arts Center in Lexington. Tickets are only $15, $12 for BCTC students. And I hope that everyone makes it out and has as much fun watching it as I did writing it.
Well, Treyton, thank you so much.
Awesome.
And
Thank
we
you.
love your take on this. It actually made me get a little fuzzy on the inside. All right, everybody.